This 22-year-old woman found out she was pregnant 30 minutes before her miracle baby was born. All those stories you hear about women who were not expecting to be pregnant always have a shocking birth story when it's all over. The mothers find a way to make their new lives work for them. It can be very difficult to believe that someone could have no idea they are pregnant, especially when there are plenty of indications along the way. Of course, we all understand that some women show differently than others. Some women are very sick when they're pregnant and some women barely notice. It's a mixed bag, both of experiences and emotion, and so it's understandable that some women don't notice as much as others. Some women even find that they prefer their pregnancy self to their non-pregnancy self. However, there are very few who find that they did not even notice being pregnant. 26-year-old Ali Offer is one of those people. On the 21st of December 2016, she woke up to the sunrise. It was just like any other day in her life. She lived in Cleveland, Ohio, in the USA, and she did not think anything was different about that morning. She was a cheerleader and she had practiced that morning. Ali has told her story to many people, and she always seemed shocked that it happened. That day started just like any other. She promised grabbing my bag to head out for cheerleading practice. I was a college student and term has ended, but I coached in the holidays. I realized my period was starting. Of course, I wasn't going to let that stop me. For 5 hours I threw myself into the handsprings and backflips, thrilled as usual to feel my body fly through the air. However, when she got home, things did not feel quite right. She felt like she was getting cramps. Ali did not usually get cramps, so this was odd. Her mother Teresa was at home and suggested that Ali get a heating pad and some painkillers. Ali agreed, desperate to try anything. However, when these things did not help at all, she headed to bed. I was exhausted, but could sleep, she said. It was weird. I'd never suffered from bad periods before and these pains were really bad. When she woke up the next morning on the 22nd of December, she expected to feel a lot better. When she didn't, she was disappointed. Ali had plans for the day and she did not want to cancel them. Her father, David, needed help moving a couch and Ali had promised him that she would be there. Her mother could not help with the heavy lifting and Ali did not want to let her father down, especially because of all the help that he gave her. She helped him that day, but the pain was still there and she did not have an appetite. She was ignoring the waves of pain and she grabbed one end of the couch and grunted. She managed to move the couch, but then she had to sit down. Finally, after 40 hours of pain, Ali had to admit that she was defeated. Something was very wrong and she needed some help. Her parents agreed with her and they saw the look on her face. I could barely stand, couldn't eat, and I could see on their faces that they were extremely worried. She said in her interview, "I didn't dream I was pregnant. Yes, my periods have been irregular, but they'd always been like that. I hadn't gained any weight, felt tired, or had any odd movements. My stomach was flat. There was no way I was having a baby still because the pain came in waves. I agreed to take a pregnancy test to be sure it was negative, but the pain was now agonizing. I said, okay, something is really wrong. Even if the pain stops and I say, I'm fine, we're still going to the hospital." The nearest hospital wasn't very far away, but Ali felt like every twist and turn was awful. She felt the pain, which she later learned was contractions at every jolt, and she felt like it would never get better. Ali did not know much about medical issues, but she imagined that pain like this meant that something was terribly wrong. She had a sharp intake of breath at every turn, and she tried not to cry out as her parents drove. She felt like she might die. When they finally got to the hospital, she practically fell in the door taking my vitals. They found my blood pressure was dangerously high and my white blood cell count was elevated, meaning I had an infection, she recalled. The doctor also examined my abdomen and said that they felt a small mass. The doctors thought it was just kidney stones and they told her they're going to double-check something. They sent her for an ultrasound and Ali remembered it in agonizing detail. I could see on the stenographer's face that something was terribly wrong, she recalled. Suddenly, I was petrified. The doctor had said, I had a mess. Was it cancer? Was I dying? She imagined the worst, but when the doctor asked her if she was pregnant, she stared at him in shock. As soon as I said no, he replied, well, it looks like you're about 38 weeks pregnant. You're in full-blown labor. We have to get you out to delivery right now. You're going to have a baby. They said I had extremely bad preeclampsia. Her voice shook as she recalled the story that my blood pressure was so high that I was on the verge of having the stroke. If I'd waited even a few minutes later to come to the hospital, I could have died. I went into complete shock. My stomach was flat. How could there be a baby in there? My mind was whirling as the contractions came thick and fast. Ali was rushed into surgery and her mind was turning. I hadn't had any scans or taken any vitamins, she said. She said just days before, I'd been jumping around and cheerleading. Was this baby okay? She was glad when the doctors told her that everything was going to be fine. Thankfully, Mom was by my side the whole time, she said. As we were rushed into surgery, she somehow stayed calm, and I was able to grip her hand through every insane moment. In the operating room, I looked at her and said, I don't know what they're doing, but there's no way they're about to pull out a baby. I was still in denial that this was all happening to me. A strange sensation came over her as she felt something tug. That's when it became real, she said. There was a baby. I couldn't see them yet. They'd been taken to be weighed and checked, but I was a mum. All I could think of was, oh God, did I just give birth? I asked, what is it? And I'd heard, I just had a boy, a son. Another shock. This was the first boy born into our family in 43 years. To look down and think, wow, I'm a mum now. This tiny little baby is really mine. I take after my mom in the sense that I absolutely love babies and kids and always wanted to be a mom. I was so excited to him. Allie's mother took it upon herself to inform the rest of the family of what was happening. They had a big family and Allie was surprised that everyone was able to come right away. She had grown up with a family around her and she wanted them with her to share this beautiful moment. My older sister Kadi, who worked 2.5 hours away, was the first to arrive, but soon everyone was there. Everyone was in complete shock and immediately in love. She gushed as she remembered the moment. She then realized that she did not have a name for the baby. One of my sisters said, I like the name Oliver, and I said, wait, me too, she said. So I started calling Oliver to see if it would fit and decided it was perfect. His middle name is David, after my dad. Her father was in tears at the great honor, and he told Allie he was very proud of her. The news of her surprise baby made the news, and she realized there were people in her life that she hadn't even told. My friends thought it was a joke, she said. My best friend didn't believe me until I sent her pictures of me, Oliver, and my medical bracelet. She made sure to include the date on the bracelet as well. Her friends were in shock, but since Allie was happy, her friends were happy as well. Allie felt like she had been granted a Christmas miracle. Oliver is now 4, adventurous, smart, and so much fun. He's made me the happiest mom in the world, and every Christmas is special because of him, she said, but holding him in my arms, that first Christmas was life-changing. He was the best Christmas gift that I didn't know I needed. Oliver was a true Christmas miracle. Allie had thought that her life was clearly going in one direction, but this had changed it for the better. She was incredibly happy with the surprise, and she went so far as to tease her family at the next Christmas that maybe there would be another baby. Her friends kept asking her how she didn't know she was pregnant, and she couldn't give them an answer. She had never had any indication that she was pregnant. She had never even noticed that anything was off until that moment that the pain started. As a cheerleader and a coach, she had always been in amazing shape and nothing had changed. She hadn't gained any weight. She hadn't even noticed any strange cravings. Allie's friends were in disbelief, but the beautiful baby Oliver was proof that miracles could happen. Today, Allie is raising Oliver to be the best he could be, and she says that he is a joy. She tells him that he's a joy to be around and a miracle every day, and she makes sure that he knows the miracle story of birth. Allie is happy in her life and still teaching cheerleading. She is teaching Oliver how to do the flips that she does, and she likes to say that he's showing great skill at the moment. She says that she is willing to support him in whatever he wants to be. Do you know a story like Allie's of a miracle child, or perhaps just a miracle in general? Make sure to share it below. You never know when your story will be our next inspiration. We look forward to reading your tales of joy. There is still so much that we need to learn about the world and its creatures. Researchers discover new creatures all the time. Sometimes they discover something that has never been seen before. This story is an example of that. Scientists are still baffled. This camera captured a creature that doesn't exist in nature, at least that's what they thought. They tried to figure out what it was. White panther. The story took place in Brazil at Serra das Orgãs National Park. This park is located in Rio de Janeiro, and it's also known as Oregon's Range. It protects the mountain range Serra das Orgãs and its water sources. It was created in 1939 as the third national park of Brazil. It is a mesmerizing area full of nature and creatures. At this park in 2013, something surprising happened. Photographers captured something extraordinary using a trap camera. Different kinds of animals were often captured on camera. The people at this park saw interesting animals all the time, but this situation was even more special. What they captured on camera this time was something completely different. It appeared to look like a cougar, but different from others. It was white, something that wasn't common for these animals. It wasn't a regular white color either. The photographers didn't think much of it at the time. They saw how beautiful and special the animal was, but had no idea that it was that special. The pictures got shared, and later something mind-blowing was revealed. When the pictures were seen by researchers, they realized that this was a very special case. This camera had captured something that would be groundbreaking for animal science. In 2018, it was confirmed that this white cougar that was caught on camera had a rare disease called leucism. The cat, also known as cougar, puma, or panther, turned out to be the very first puma with leucism. Well, the very first puma seen with leucism. Researchers couldn't believe it. An animal kind had been discovered that wasn't even known to exist in the world. Some people might think that this is a case of albinism, but it certainly is different. At first, it may appear similar since both situations are light-colored. With albinism, people and animals also lose color and appear white. Skin, hair, and eyes lose color. This is usually also combined with vision issues. People and animals that suffer from albinism often don't see clearly. Leucism is different. Leucism also causes pigmentation loss in various parts of the body such as skin, hair, feathers, but not in the eyes. Leucism doesn't cause light or red eyes that often happens with albinism. Leucism is called by pigment cell differentiation and/or migration from the neural crest to the other parts of the body. Cells will lack the ability to produce pigment, which can cause colorless parts of the body. There have been various cases of animals with a complete white body with the same color, eyes, and lips. This is how leucism appears. However, there has never been a case of a puma with leucism until this one. Scientists later realized what was going on after the pictures had been realized. At first, people were confused about what it was exactly when they realized that it was something that wasn't known to exist in nature. They were even more amazed. It was incredible, and they felt honored that they were able to witness the beautiful creature. Crazy enough, the white panther was never seen after it had been captured. This is also still the first cougar with leucism. It had only been seen briefly once, and then it disappeared again. Perhaps there were more of them out there, but no one knew this for sure or knew where they could have been, or maybe this white panther was the only one of its kind. For years, the photographers set up the cameras many times again, in the hopes of capturing the animal or another odd-colored puma, but never succeeded. This made the white panther even more mysterious. It was likely that there wouldn't be a white panther captured ever again. The scientists were only left with more questions. Luke Hunter, executive director of the Wildlife Conservation Society's Big Cats program and author of the book Wild Cats of the World, described the situation as very unusual and that another white cougar may not appear in my lifetime. Hunter mentioned that no one really knows why these color-changing conditions in animals are so rare. My best guess is that the distant ancestor of pumas was uniformly colored, and that has been maintained in the species ever since, is how Hunter tried to explain the situation. Cougars are animals that aren't known for varying a lot in color, which made this case even more special. Albinism and leucism is more common in other species, but rarely happens to pumas. Scientists hope to see the mysterious cougar back again, but assume that it probably won't happen ever again. Perhaps they will spot another rare colored animal and capture it on camera again. Maybe this white panther can also be a good idea for another Marvel movie. Another leucistic animal that has been spotted are a striped white tiger. It appears to be a normal white tiger, but is actually an extremely rare one with leucism. There has also been a case of a seal with leucism. It was mostly white and colorless except for the dark eyes, nose, and lower body. Another case is that of a squirrel, which is also lighter in colors, but with dark eyes. Viewers have also been amazed by this story. Some people think that the white panther is purposely hiding from the people, since there are so many bad people with bad intentions that want to hurt animals and keep them in a cage. Other people wonder if it's still alive. They hope it is. Most people commented how beautiful they thought the white panther was. They sure were right. Everyone with eyes can see how breathtakingly beautiful and special the animal is. White giraffes, another case of a beautiful animal with leucism, has been a couple of giraffes. It happened in 2017 in Kenya. These tall animals are never hard to spot, but these white versions were even more striking. These giraffes were first spotted by local residents and conservationists. When they were first seen, they were mesmerized. Two tall, white and bright giraffes were seen. One was much smaller than the other one. The beautiful, mysterious animals looked as if they came straight out of a Harry Potter or Disney movie, but this was real life. This was really happening. The witnesses couldn't stop observing them and couldn't believe what they were seeing. First, the people thought that the giraffes suffered from albinism, or perhaps they just happened to be really white. It later turned out that it was a mother and a child. They didn't have albinism but leucism. This was a rare case of leucism that appeared in both the mother and the child. The child genetically inherited the condition from the mother. There they were, two white giraffes wandering in nature. Mother Nature never ceases to amaze us. Unlike animals with albinism, these giraffes still had dark-colored eyes and some other coloring eyes. This was a clear case of leucism. This might be completely confusing for most people, but once you know what leuc is, you can recognize it clearly. It definitely was recognizable in these animals. Local residents shared what they had spotted, and soon conservationists were looking for the 2 giraffes with leucism. They were spotted in the Eshatbini Hirola Conservancy, located in Harissa County in the eastern part of Kenya. This area is being taken care of by the Hirola Conservation Program, HCP. The Hirola Conservation Program is an NGO that is dedicated to helping endangered herald antelopes, another incredibly rare kind of animal. They soon heard about the 2 other rare animals that were spotted. The 2 giraffes with leucism were observed and described. One witness said this about the giraffes. They were so close and extremely calm and seemed not disturbed by our presence. The mother kept pacing back and forth a few yards in front of us while signaling the nearby giraffe to hide behind the bushes. The giraffes were captured and the video was shared. Soon the video went viral and people were completely amazed. Giraffes were already beautiful and striking animals, but these ones stood out even more. These giraffes are only the 3rd known cases of a giraffe with leucism. Another one was spotted a year earlier in 2016 in Tanzania. Giraffes of this kind usually don't survive this disease and won't make it to an older age, but these giraffes were a miracle. Everything about these giraffes was completely amazing and baffled scientists. For the people in that area, these kinds of giraffes were something completely known. Albinism is already a rare condition, but leucism even more. When people confuse these animals with albino animals and then realize that these animals have an even more rare case, it completely surprises them. The mother and child giraffe with leucism were later being taken care of. Conservationists want to make sure that they're doing fine and further research is being done. There will probably never be enough research for these animals or even other rare animals. Mother Nature has so much to offer and so many secrets. We as people can learn from nature and animals every day. We will never stop learning about it. These stories have only shown a few examples of these rare animals. There aren't many animals with leucism in the world. Each and every one of these is special, but apparently they aren't the only ones. Perhaps more of them will be discovered as time goes by. Not many people know of leucism, but these animals have taught many researchers and other people more about it. It is a lesson for all of us. Talking about it and sharing the story also helps with raising awareness. The stories and videos have gone viral and have been shared on many news platforms. Of course, our video also helps raise awareness and inform people about leucism. What is the most surprising part to you about leucism? Is this the very first time for you hearing about this rare condition, or have you heard about it before? Let us know in the comments. We are curious about what you have to say. A home provides us with more than a physical place to live. It gives us a sense of security and a place to truly unwind and be yourself. Imagine if all that was taken away from you and to be bombarded with reporters. However, that wasn't the most shocking part of this story. Wait until you find out the identity of this man and his remarkable past. Sitting out on the curb with all of his worldly possessions, this one man had now lost the place he had called home for many years. He was left on the street with all of his things on display for everyone to see a struggle. Given the odd situation, local reporters quickly became interested in his story as they did some digging to figure out what happened. The reveal of his true identity and story would shock everyone. In the early summer of 2017, a man living in Memphis, Tennessee began to have trouble with his landlord. I think we can all relate to that. Sometimes it's not the easiest to deal with the person that has such a vital role in your housing situation. The disagreements became more and more serious, and both the tenant and the landlord didn't know what to do anymore. The landlord ended up contacting the authorities and requested help for evicting the tenant from the property. This meant the man would be forced to leave his home in the suburb of Binghamton. This harsh conclusion to their disagreements led him to being out on the streets. People who passed by saw this happened, but were wondering what had happened to result in this man being kicked out of his home. The landlord took the man to court for failing to make rent payments. In court, the man admitted that he stopped paying the rent because the landlord would continually complain about the man's cats. Now, if you're thinking, why would he complain about pets? There were over 20 cats living at the property with the man. The man had accumulated all the pets while he was living at the property. The landlord said that the neighborhood was not happy about it and that he was always getting complaints from the people who lived nearby. The landlord didn't know what else to do, but asked him to get rid of the cats or force him to leave. It was evident that the man would not get rid of his cats, and so the landlord felt forced to evict him. The man loved his cats dearly and explained that the animals had helped him through some of the darkest days in his life. He had a rough past and really experienced how different and wonderful it felt to have a place of your own. He wanted to be able to give a home to those who had none. All 20 of the cats that lived with him were strays, and he had developed a bond with each one. He loved being able to provide for them and give them a loving, caring, safe home. "I love cats. I think they're wonderful," he explained to the local news station. Despite his great love, the landlord refused to acknowledge the man's point of view. This caused the situation to escalate horribly and quickly. The man had lived in the house for 10 years and made so many wonderful memories. He was forced onto the streets without any care from the landlord. The Memphis Animal Shelter was made aware of the situation, and they came to collect and care for the cats in hopes that they would find homes through adoption. Not only had the man lost his home, but now he had lost his closest companions. He was devastated and couldn't believe that he was in this situation. He found himself to be homeless with his possessions scattered on the front lawn of the house he used to live in. He decided to sell his belongings to try and make some money to survive. He decided to sell all of his possessions. He didn't have much time to try and do this, as the landlord was constantly telling him to get off the lawn. We can only imagine how down this poor man felt. The landlord said he would throw everything off the lawn in a few days' time if the man wasn't able to sell it. He was so distressed. This caught the attention of the local news station, and were about to be very surprised at the identity of this man. The man felt extremely violated and taken advantage of with all his possessions out on the lawn for everyone to see. You kind of get goosebumps. It's like looking at something for the first time when you haven't seen them in a while, he told the news station. The local station had heard of this story and quickly rushed over to his former residence, unaware of what they were about to uncover. He was interviewed by reporters at his former house, and they tried to raise awareness about the situation. The man told reporters that he had no idea what his next move would be. He truly felt defeated. The interview was shown on air shortly after, and the reporter stumbled upon a huge revelation about the man's identity that would change everything. This man had accomplished so much in his life. What had he done? Keep watching to find out. Once the story had aired on the local evening news, the station was flooded with phone calls and emails from people who had grown up in the area. They all had information about this mystery man. One woman named Joan Channel recognized him right away as a former classmate from their time together at the Memphis Technical High School decades earlier. Her phone call was so important in figuring out the identity of this man and his amazing past. It was a touching story to say the least. She identified the man as Titus Blade Steele, and he was one of the first African-American children to attend the technical high school in Memphis. His friends and classmates remember him as an amazing artist who would credit incredible art with his raw talent. All his classmates admired his skills as an artist and his kindness as a person. This information led to the story gaining even more traction in the local area. However, this wasn't the only amazing piece of information about Titus. More information about Titus began to surface, and it became obvious that he had some tough times in his past. On the front lawn, there was a newspaper clipping detailing the murder of his brother. No one expected to find such a heartbreaking piece of information. Despite it being such a hard time in his life, Titus was willing to open about this situation and how it changed him. That was one of the saddest days of my life because my brother and I were so close, he told reporters. His brother's death would lead to being an important factor in the extraordinary life he had. Digging a bit deeper, reporters were able to find out even more. They found many newspaper clippings and old photos that showed Titus's life as a writer, artist, and traveler. He made many beautiful paintings for galleries and often volunteered his free time. He was so hurt by his brother's death, and it pushed him to try and make his community a better place. People in the local area were so touched to hear about his life, and this made them want to help him even more. Titus had no idea that the people he went to school with decades earlier even remembered him, let alone wanted to help him. His story was posted to an online alumni page, and dozens of his former classmates recognized him. So many wanted to help him and provide support in whatever way possible. Joan took it upon herself to be the lead and organize a meeting with Titus. Joan brought something to that meeting that truly warmed Titus's heart, and he needed it the most. Joan met up with Titus the following month in July and brought so many letters and notes from Titus's former classmates and friends. The letters were so kind and were all about what a wonderful person Titus is. One letter read, "With your warm and cheerful smile, you broke down barriers and made friends that will last a lifetime." Titus was shocked when you received the letters. Wow, letters from everybody. He said as he looked through them all, he was not expecting to receive this huge outpouring of love. The letters alone lifted his spirit, but the letters were not the only thing Joan had brought with her. Titus was so touched to know his former classmates and friends still remembered him and were thinking of him all these years later. It was evident that Titus had left a mark on the lives of the people he met. However, this wasn't the only gift he would receive that day. One classmate went above and beyond and changed his life forever. At this point, Titus had been living with his sister and was not expecting to receive help. He loved getting the letters. Then Joan handed over $1,500 that all of the classmates had raised together. "It's generous, and I feel like I could cry," Titus told reporters. At 69 years of age, Titus reunited with his former classmates at a reunion that took place a few weeks later. He was so grateful to be able to thank everyone in person for their kind gift. This was exactly the help he needed to kickstart his life after such a tumultuous situation happened. Titus was determined to make his dreams come true, and he was going to follow through on that. He still loved the feeling of helping others and being able to give back to his community. His big dream is to open his very own cat shelter in order to help stray cats that are in desperate need of a home. He loves giving back to those that are less fortunate, just like he was given help when he needed it the most. If you liked hearing about Titus, click the like and subscribe button below. This will help us to continue searching for heartwarming and inspiring stories from all around the world that we'll deliver straight to your inbox. What an inspiring story about a truly great man. It's such a turnaround from one of the worst days of life to receiving an outpouring of love from the community around him. It's clear that he is a remarkable and memorable person, so much so that his classmates knew they had to reach out and help him so many decades later.